Increase in food prices and transport costs push inflation to over 25%. Tiga State flags up distribution of second palliatives to poor and vulnerable. Niger junta cancels 1,000 diplomatic passports linked to outstate regime. Good evening. Today is Friday, 29th of Safar 1445 after the Hijrah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, equivalent to 15th of September 2023. I'm Amina Ibrahim Shahada with the news. And from the news, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has reiterated his commitment to making Nigeria better, describing his countrymen as hardworking people, but believes the nation has no reason to be poor. Tinubu said this when he received a high-powered 62-man delegation comprising leaders from both the governing All Progressive Congress (APC) and the opposition People's Democratic Party (PDP) to the State House in Abuja yesterday. He said Nigerians are not lazy; they just need to maintain brotherhood and good neighbors to one another. He added that he's not a president that will give excuses. President Tinubu, who said people trust him to turn the tide, assured of his government's resolve to fulfill its promises to the country. He also said his government will pay attention to the Eleme Junction on the axis of the east-west road linking the Port Harcourt refinery, because according to him, the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike is a strong advisor and will follow up on the issue for prompt action. The Chicago State University CSU has confirmed that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu attended the university and graduated in 1979 with a bachelor's degree. The university made this known in a statement issued to CBS News, one of America's biggest and most influential news network, yesterday. The institution, however, said that it was restrained by the United States federal law to provide any further information about Tinubu's record without consent or unless allowed to do so via court order. Recall that the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) in the 2023 election, Atiku Abubakar, had alleged that documents revealing that Tinubu graduated from Chicago State in 1979 were not original, and had highlighted it as grounds to nullify Tinubu's election victory. At a hearing in Chicago this week, Atiku's lawyers had asked a federal judge to compel the CSU officials to turn over Tinubu's academic documents and appear for deposition. 3 days to the deadline given by President Bola Tinubu, the federal government agencies, in collaboration with law enforcement operators, are struggling to recover billions of naira given to rice farmers as loans since 2018. Recall that President Bola Tinubu had given up on Monday the funds. The ambitious Anchor Borrowers Program (ABF) was plotted by the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) to make cash available for increased agricultural production in Nigeria. While success had been recorded in some places across the country, the program ran into a glitch due to the inability of some of the beneficiaries to repay the loan on maturity. There are also allegations that some officials who were saddled with the responsibility for dispensing the money and farm inputs diverted them. It was also learned that over 1.1 trillion naira was disbursed by the central bank to the beneficiaries of the ambitious Anchor Borrowers Program since its inception, but only a little above 546 billion naira was repaid. With the directive by President Tinubu, it is expected that over 577 billion naira will be recovered from defaulting farmers and officials who diverted the money. However, at the inception of the program, hundreds of rice farmers were captured through their registered associations and were given loan in form of inputs, which includes seeds, agrochemicals, fertilizers, among others, and where they are expected to repay the loan at the end of the farming, either in cash or by paddy rice. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo has said a democratic system that fosters a lack of security and peace must be abandoned. Obasanjo, who was hosted by the governor of Oyo State, Seyi Makinde, at the opening of internal roads in Isiyin, described a democracy built on unemployment as a failure, adding that when democracy will continue to survive and people will feel that yes, democracy is a worldwide system of the government that must be embraced. He also stated that he was particularly delighted that the governor chose him to be part of the success that he is achieving in Oyo State. And coming to you from the studio of Sawaba Radio is the global news. Stay with us for more parts.
This is News on the Hour, Sawaba Radio FM. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. Don't forget the news is coming to you from the studio of Sawaba Radio. From Jigawa State, the state government has flagged up the statewide distribution of second palliatives and cash grants to poor and vulnerable citizens in the state, worth over R1 billion of naira. Governor Umar Namadi said about 108,000 persons will benefit from the cash grants across the 27 local government areas, apart from the foodstuff donations to orphans, people with disabilities, and elderly persons. The palliative distribution is aimed at alleviating the suffering of less privileged across the state to improve their living conditions. Governor Umar Namadi said today's intervention is in continuation of his administration's efforts to cushion the economic hardship occasioned as a result of the removal of fuel subsidy by the federal government. He assured the people of the state of his intention to continue to work on more comprehensive intervention in the form of policies and programs. The distribution includes 47,410 bags of rice, 33,330 cartons of spaghetti, and 8,300 bags of maize, respectively. However, it will also be recalled that Sawaba Radio reported Governor Umar Namadi had in the past flagged off the disbursement of 50,000 naira empowerment grants to 1,000 women in the state. So in Jigawa, a High Court of Justice in Dutse has struck out PDP's suit against the Jigawa State Independent Electoral Commission over a councillorship by-election in Gwaramdoko government area. A statement issued by the Public Relations Officer of the State Ministry of Justice, Zainab Baba Senteli, said the State Attorney General and Commissioner of Justice, Dr. Musa Adamu Aliyu, stand for the Electoral Commission. The court, after thorough review of arguments presented by the Attorney General and the Council of Plaintiffs, Sule Umar, the court agreed with the Attorney General argument and ruled that the suit was a pre-election matter related to a local government election. As such, the court lacked the jurisdiction to entertain, and consequently the case was struck out. The National Board for Technical Education, (NBTE), has upgraded the Jigawa State School of Health Science to a College of Health Science and Technology, the registrar of the college revealed. The registrar, Noura Garba, told newsmen that the NBTE inspected the school's teaching and non-teaching staff, physical structure, and teaching equipment before upgrading it. He said the state government has also announced a monthly stipend for students who are indigenous to the state and a subsidy on tuition fees for students from the state. Noura Garba, however, said the college, which was founded in 1989, was not without its challenges. He said the new administration made challenges in the college that need to be addressed to effectively run the health institution. Nigeria's inflation figure has risen to 25.80% in August, according to National Bureau of Statistics, (NBS). The NBS stated that headline inflation rate increased to 25.80% relatively to the July 2023 headline inflation rate, which was 24.08%. The report stated that the headline inflation rate shows an increase of 1.72 percentage points when compared to the July 2023 headline inflation rate. It added that on a year-on-year basis, the headline inflation rate was 5.27 percent points higher compared to the rate recorded in August 2022, which was 20.52%. It also said that full inflation rate in August 2023 was 29.34% on a year-on-year basis, which was 6.22 percent points higher compared to the rate recorded in August 2023, equivalent to 23.12%. The National Bureau of Statistics also noted that the rise in food inflation on a year-on-year basis was caused by increases in prices of oil and fat, bread and cereals, fish, fruit, meat, vegetables and potatoes, yam and other tubers. And now moving to the international scene, the new military rulers of Niger Republic have cancelled more than 990 diplomatic passports held by nationals and foreigners linked to the outstate region. The foreign ministry has written to notify diplomatic representations in Niger that the passports are now lapsed, according to copies of the latter posted on social networks. The diplomatic documents were held by former senior figures in institutions and ministries, as well as ex-MPs and advisors, including to the president and prime minister, the official press agency said yesterday. About 50 of the passports had been given to American, British, French, Libyan, and Turkish people, as well as other West Africans. President Mohamed Bazoum was overthrown on July 26 and has since been detained at his residency. However, at the end of August, the new regime cancelled passports held by several members of the government who were abroad, including the Prime Minister, Foreign Minister, and Niger's ambassador to France. The Libyan Red Crescent said that the death toll in Libya's coastal city of Derna has soared to 11,300 as the search efforts continue. However, local officials suggested that the death toll could be much higher than announced, the Associated Press has reported. Daniel, an unusually strong Mediterranean storm, caused deadly flooding in communities across eastern Libya. The worst hit was Derna, as the storm founded the coast on Sunday night. Two dams outside the city collapsed, causing floodwaters to gush down Wadi Derna, a valley that cuts through the city, crashing through buildings and washing people out to the sea. The Moroccan authorities have announced plans to fund the rebuilding of about 50,000 homes damaged by last week's earthquake. They will provide more than $13,000 for the reconstruction of homes which have been completely destroyed and $8,000 for those with partial damage. Residents will meanwhile be given temporary shelters equipped to withstand cold weather, and each household will receive a grant of $3,000. The exact number of people left homeless is still not known. Nearly 3,000 people have been confirmed dead and more than 5,000 injured in the 6.8 magnitude quake. Today, being 15th of September, is International Democratic Day. And our correspondent Mariam Jibril Yusuf has this to say.
International Day of Democracy is held on September 15th of every year. This year's theme is Empowering the Next Generation, focuses on the essential role of children and young people in safeguarding democracy today and in the future. It is not enough to listen to children and young people. We must support them with massive investment in education, skills building, and lifelong learning. International Day of Democracy is an annual day that has been running for 10 years. It is a United Nations Day of Observation. The purpose of the day is to review the state of democracy in the world and uphold and promote democracy and its principles. The day was founded on the 20th anniversary of the first international conference of the New or Restored Democracies, which promoted global democracy. On this day, individuals and organizations of all kinds work together for democracy and hold events to raise awareness of democracy, including conferences, discussions and debates, as well as press conferences and publicity campaigns, though contribution of leaflets, posters and flyers, often with the United Nations logo on them. Major events to commemorate the day are held at United Nations headquarters.
Although democracy is seen today as a global concept of a way of governance, it has actually existed in many forms in the long history of mankind. Democracy, as we know today, having representation, including some element of change of representatives or change of leaders, can be traced to maybe the 6th century when Athens and other Greek states introduced this concept with the belief that people would have the opportunity to participate in their own governance. But as a global concept today, democracy cannot be actually defined or as a product of any society, community, or country. Many countries have their own versions of democracy. The version of democracy in UK is different from the version in USA, and certainly different from versions you find in other European countries, African countries, and South American countries. However, certain principles are looked at to make a nation democratic. These include regular elections and change of leadership through elections, participation of people in the governance of their country, but through free speech, organization, freedom of association, freedom of participation in elections, and so on.
Democracy and human rights are closely linked, and united covenants on these matters are to the forefront on this Observance Day. Democracy is a state where the people have rights, especially to vote and elect their government and regulation from among themselves, rather than being controlled by a government over whom they have no right of dissent, election, or protest. Lack of democracy can lead to lack of rights or a voice, and these impacts on human rights are set out by
increase in food prices and transport costs, food inflation to over 25%. Jigawa State flagged up distribution of second palliatives to poor and vulnerable. From the international scene, Nigeria junta cancels 1,000 diplomatic passports linked to outstate region. On behalf of our editor, Lukman Dahiru, our continuing announcer, Muslima Adam Iko, I'm Amina Ibrahim Shahada. Have a good night.